Susan.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today. So appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure is all mine.
So I have a few questions for you, but I would love for you to tell our audience your history with Cape Rep and like when you started with us.
My first show was Urinetown in 2005, I believe. Herrick Goldman, I had just started working for him probably that spring, and he brought me out here, and I fell in love and was hooked. And then the next year, we designed Urinetown together, and then the next year, I did Full Monty the first time, all by myself.
That's
And
awesome.
then I've been doing shows. I think I counted up like 33 shows the other day that I've done here. Yeah, in the last 16 years.
Oh, wow. So I mean, we're so lucky to have you and your talent, and especially with this very special project,
Yes.
through this time. As you know, you're in New York, um, in the city, and maybe you could dive into that too, just about what that feeling was when everything sort of hit New York, and you just work like you,
Yeah.
and all over the country, really. I
Yeah.
mean, you're very busy. So what did it feel like just to be in the city and to like, because that
Yeah.
beloved city just got hit so hard, and everything kind of seemed to come to a halt.
It did. It was really crazy. I did one event in late February at the New York Stock Exchange, and things were starting to not snowball, but it was rolling down the hill. And we were very cautious, lots of hand sanitizer. And then another event got canceled. And then another event got canceled. And then there was one event that came and happened. This event, they were supposed to have gone to Brazil and had this big to do, but they couldn't go to Brazil, but they still wanted to do their meeting. So it got moved to New York. And that was it. We did 4 days. I said goodbye to all my friends on the crew and was like, I don't know when I'm seeing you again. And then I also have another little small career. I teach spin. I taught a spin class Saturday, I think it was March 15th, and did that spin class, took the subway home, and then didn't leave my neighborhood again for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. It was it was crazy, it was really weird. It was very apocalyptic. I would go for a run in the park. I live about like half a mile from the park, and I would hit no traffic as I was running to the park, and that was completely
Unheard
unreal. Yeah, I was getting my best first mile times. It was great.
of.
But New York just felt it was weird. You'd look out the window to see if there was anybody actually on the street, and usually there weren't. So
Well, we're again, I mean, we're just so glad that you, and I'm sure maybe you were glad to get out of the city and come here.
I am,
When
yeah,
Janine, I remember when they were starting meetings with you and our scenic designer, Ryan McGettigan.
yeah.
So, yeah, when Janine first approached you and Mo about the project, what was your, I mean, I guess collective motivation and inspiration?
Hmm.
It's so beautiful, and you really are lighting everyone so specifically to what the
Yeah.
material they chose. But I wonder, just, you and Ryan, really how you guys came up with the plan to create this.
Um, I was so excited to work, to have something, to have a creative outlet, to even think of anything creative when we started first talking about this. And it was always, everybody was always going to come in with something very different. It wasn't like a play or a musical where we could read something and take our inspirations from the script. We kind of had to put something very general, but where we could get specific, depending on what we did later on and depending on what you guys, the artists, came in and did. But it had to be that. It had to be visually enticing and interesting, but also very flexible and giving me the ability to change and to adapt with every performance.
Yeah. Well, it does that. I mean, and you also helped suggest material for people, myself included, and Just George's. There may be others, but and Julie Hamilton was a big
Mhm.
source of my choice in what I did as well, which just was so helpful because sometimes
Yeah,
you're a little stumped about like where you're at, and
yeah.
so I was so appreciative of your suggestion.
Well, I was just happy because I can't sing. No one would watch. If I sang, that'd be like, and we're done. And that's the rest of it. So I was just very happy that I could suggest something that really was meaningful to me and
Yeah.
that you sang it so wonderfully.
Oh,
It was so
well,
much fun.
it was just so great to be up there with
Yeah.
your lights, and because Ryan, it's just very simple. It's not muslin. It's just it's like is
Some
it
of it is muslin. The
yeah.
other stuff is, oh, shoot. I forget what he calls the other material.
No, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
And we've used it in some show too, and I know
Boundless. Yeah,
but
it was a lot like the material we used in Boundless, but I can't think of what the other stuff is called.
it's just so simple and
Yeah,
beautifully like strung, so it sort of echoes the structure of the theater
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And then I feel like it gave you such an ability to change on a dime,
Hmm.
colors and feeling and stuff. So, I mean, from what I've been hearing through all the interviews, is just praise for you and
Oh,
Ryan
that's
about
awesome.
just being up there and feeling sort of magical. So,
Yeah. It was a learning process, at first, there were things that I was like, bah, about, but
because it's being filmed, so
mhm,
you have to constantly look through the lens too to make
yes.
sure.
It's completely different. What
Yeah.
I see, what you see in the theater is not what the camera sees, and so that's been a learning curve. I mean, in my events life, I do that all the time, but there are other things and there are other ways around it. We can chip the cameras, we can iris the cameras. This camera, we didn't have all the flexibility and the ability, so it became, what do I see? What does the camera see? How can I make what I want to see on stage is what the camera sees so that I can show everybody?
Mm.
So it was a learning curve. I mean, the first couple ones, I'm like looking back on, but the last bunches of them, I really am very proud of.
Yeah, they really look beautiful. And you did touch on this a little bit, but um, how did it feel to be back in the theater? I mean, I know no, there's not a lot of cast members running around, but just to be back in the building,
Yeah,
you're staying at the Cape House, you have the bike, you can just, you
yeah.
know, so
It was amazing. It was exactly how I thought it was going to be when I first turned back on the console after 6 months of not touching a console.
yeah,
Just walking in the theater, both Ryan and I agreed that it was emotional, because it's hard for us as artists. I mean, other people are going on this pandemic thing, and it's fine because they have other outlets. But for us as artists, this is our outlet. And what do we do when we have all this built up stuff in our soul? And so it was really special. I've never really appreciated turning on lights and turning on a console like I did that first day.
yeah. And while you've been here, just to wrap us this up, but I would love to know, you've been here for some time, and you've had to go back and forth to New York, but you've been here for a while now.
Uh, over 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And such the great, yeah, and the most amazing like seasonal shift, like a
Yeah.
little bit of summer into fall, but I'd love to know if while you've been here, if there's just like anything else besides being extremely busy with this, um, something a guilty pleasure or something that you've done to kind of like
Yeah.
occupy your time.
Well, it's been fun. I don't know how in the 16 years I've been here, I've never been consistently swimming in the
Oh,
summers. And so Richard Perry, Dick Perry, Janine's husband, and I, we've gone swimming a lot in the pond across the street, and that has been amazing. I never realized how, I mean, I knew they were clean, but they're just so clean. And it's just, I'm sad that it's getting a little too cold to go. I believe our last swim happened on October 1st.
Oh, wow. Mm.
If tomorrow's supposed to be a little warmer, so
Yeah, the weekend's supposed to be great.
maybe we can get back in, but really that's been incredible watching the trees change as I'm swimming in the pond, and even just being in the pond and being more in nature, which is definitely something that, while being trapped in New York for so long, being out here in nature is just such an amazing thing.
And you've kept up your physical routine too.
I've picked up a couple clients,
Yes.
which has also been a lot of fun. So
Well, we are so lucky to have you here and to for you to be part of the Cape Rep family for as long as you have been. And we thank you, Herrick, for inviting you here. And we miss Herrick too. He's another, huge staple, resident designer that we have in lighting. And but your work on this project is phenomenal. And I don't mean to speak for everyone, but honestly, everyone has just raved about it, and we're so lucky. So thank you, Susan.
I'm so lucky to have you guys out here too. This is a wonderful place to be.
Yay.